Hi there and welcome back to the Nourishing Roots channel, where I'll be showing you how to love food, adore your body and become your authentic self. In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about calories and why I no longer count them, and also how you can be more critical of the humble, simple calorie. First of all, let's start off by defining what a calorie is. Well, in scientific terms, all a calorie is the amount of energy that it takes to raise the temperature of water from 1 degree Celsius of 1 cubic centimetre of water. Now, that sounds all well and good, but why is it that we're so obsessed with counting calories? Why do we see them all the time on backs of packets, and why do we always see how to lose weight by cutting out more calories? Well, the reason that is, calories are everywhere because we're obsessed with weight loss in our society. Many of you know that it's hard to walk out the door without somebody mentioning the next diet that they're on. And unfortunately, counting calories is a massive part of that in our Western culture. But how I've become more critical of counting calories is because how they at one time actually played a part in ruining my life. And by that I mean that I became so obsessed by them that it really limited my ability to just connect with my psychological needs. And by becoming obsessed with them, it limited my ability to connect with food in a positive way. On another note about calories, I think that people mainly view calories as something that they can control. And unfortunately, a lot of this sense of control can become quite obsessive and addictive. So to put that in a little bit of context, I know a lot of people, and my past self included, who constantly look on the back of nutritional labels. They always count calories in food, they menu check at restaurants, and that's not really part of a healthy lifestyle because their main motivation to do that is out of fear and anxiety. Now, I'm not saying that all counting calories are bad, because in some sense, if you approximate certain amounts of calories, it might help you to get to a so-called healthy weight. But unfortunately, when counting calories becomes so obsessive, we can lose sight of the real issue why we were counting them in the first place. Now, for someone who's really vulnerable to certain messages around food, calories can take on this whole new negative energy where trying to eat over a certain amount of calories can become really fearful and anxiety provoking, because eating over a certain amount of calories can feel as though you're a bad person. So like I did, I used to feel so guilty if I'd have gone over my allowed calorie amount. And that was really silly because it wouldn't have mattered at all if I'd have eaten over my allowed daily calories. In fact, it makes little sense that we call them a daily allowance anyway, because it sounds as though it's something that we're given and we should use as a ration, rather than allowing life to just take on its own positive energy and also guide us to make the food choices that are in line with our psychological and not just our physical needs. As I've talked about in the Nourishing Roots videos before, and my book and the whole philosophy in general, I really believe that food isn't just about fuel, and that food plays a massive role in meeting our psychological needs and our needs to socially connect and also rekindle positive memories. Now imagine if food was just about fuel and counting calories. We'd literally spend days, hours and just tedious amounts of time just calculating what we should and shouldn't be eating. But I know from personal experience that's a huge energy drain, and it's so restrictive, and it kind of fuels this negative relationship you have with yourself and food. So for anybody out there who might have a negative relationship with food at the moment, I can probably guess that you've also struggled with calories at some point, or at this moment in time you also view calories in a negative way, or as something that you can use to feel more in control of your life. Now, if that's the case, I kind of want to offer you a little bit of words of wisdom from my perspective, because from my own personal experiences, I know how life-limiting it can be to, spend the night before meal planning, tracking calories in FitnessPal, not being able to go out for food with family and friends because you worry about what's on the menu and if it does or doesn't meet your calorie allowance. Now, bearing that in mind, there are many other reasons why I'm critical of calories, which I'll, touch on in a moment. but I'll just allow you to think of the fact that, you know, life will become more freeing if you do become more free around calories. The reason for that is because you can make food choices based on your intuitive needs. So if it's somebody's birthday or a family day out, or if you just want to rekindle some memories by going to your favourite sweet shop and having sweets, then those things and those needs can't be met if you're restricting your calorie intake or counting them obsessively. So to touch on another point why I'm quite critical of calories, it's because counting them is so inaccurate anyway. Like, we think that by counting calories on the backs of packets, that the number that we see is actually the exact amount that's in that food. But that isn't true at all, because, you know, when we actually first scientifically counted calories or knew about them, what we did was we calculated them in certain types of food and then just based everything on an average. So, you know, one apple in one store might actually contain different amounts of calories to an apple in another store. And that's because some different types of food are grown in different climates, which affects the energy content. And the way that we average things out in manufacturer terms, that doesn't quite add up in the way that we think we do. So with calories, usually it's not a case of all these exact amount of foods go into this one meal. You know, it's just an average of all the different types of food that also have its average amount of calories ploughed into them. And then we kind of deduct a sort of approximation from that. But you know, some research shows that some ready meals are 200 calories more or 200 calories less than what it states on a packet. But yet we've become so rigid in, you know, thinking that what's said in front of us in terms of a number is what we should go off. And for a lot of people, like myself included, you can become so obsessed with trying to, you know, get the numbers right. But life's not all about getting numbers right, whether that's about calories, your body weight, or anything really. It's all about feeling loving around yourself, around others, and around food. And in my personal opinion, I don't think counting calories obsessively or rigidly in any way promotes self-love at all. In fact, I think it draws us far away from it, because we tend to judge ourselves for the numbers that we do and do not put into our bodies. And for that reason alone, I wanted to just cut it out of my life. And to be honest, at first that was really difficult, because for years and years I counted them obsessively. So it wasn't just a quick switch overnight from counting calories to not. But, you know, gradually over time, eliminating my need and anxiety to count them so much, it was so liberating. Like, I can't even describe the amount of happiness that's come into my life from just letting the whole calorie issue go. And, you know, this video isn't for me to tell you to never count calories again. It's not to make you become, you know, feeling really bad about the fact that you might count calories occasionally. It's actually to just say that there is another way of finding a lovely balance with food and your body and yourself as a whole. I think that if you want to, and to live life to the full, then that's part of living in line with your whole psychological and social needs. And unfortunately, I don't think that calorie counting is a jigsaw puzzle that's part of that picture. So on a final note, I'd just like to sum up by saying that if there are any of you out there struggling with food and counting calories at the moment, that this doesn't have to be that way for the rest of your life. You can, with the right help and support, and maybe a future video that I'm going to create about calories and how to stop counting them, you can just break free. I hope that this video has given you some hope, because at one time I didn't think that breaking free from calorie counting was possible. But if you know from my opinions that it's been so positive for my whole happiness and mental well-being, then hopefully that can inspire you too. So finally, that's all I'd like to say in this video. But if you've got any ideas about what calories are, or, you know, your thoughts on people obsessively counting calories, then I'd love to hear about them. I'd also love to hear some ideas for future videos around calories or stopping counting calories, and why that's important for you. So that's it really, and if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, that would be a massive help, because it'd stimulate me to make more videos. And also, it means we can have more fun together, talking about topics that really, really matter. So on that note, I'll wish you goodbye, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon. Bye!